Overthinking, it's a process that keeps running in our minds constantly. Especially when we start thinking about the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? This never-ending cycle slowly leads us towards anxiety and depression. Because when we keep repeating the same thoughts, without reaching any solid conclusion, it turns into a mental loop. And that loop eventually turns into stress. Now let's talk about business. We are doing business, yes, but constantly getting distracted. Sometimes we feel there's too much competition in the market. Other times it feels like we're not making any profit. And then, those same thoughts start repeating again. The result? Distraction, and then, confusion. Maybe it's time to try something new. So today we came up with a new strategy. We said, let's do this, because the last one wasn't bringing in profit. And it's only been 1 week, just 1 week. And now we're already thinking of changing it again. Overthinking is making us change our plans again and again. We're getting distracted, not by others, but by our own minds. Why are you even calling it a distraction? If you're doing something, whether it's in business or any kind of work, and it's not showing results, so you're trying something else. That's not distraction, that's called pivoting. You're trying something different. Why are you calling it a distraction? Because deep down, I feel like, if we've made a plan, we should give it time. Only then, it might bring results. But the truth is, we just don't have that kind of patience. And yes, I'll admit, it's a lack of patience. The question you're asking yourself, right? In that very question, you're already giving yourself the answer. And that's where the whole game falls apart. You say, whenever I do something, and I don't get results, I start doing something else. Sounds pretty simple, right? But now just pause, and think. If you keep doing the same thing, without changing it, what kind of result are you expecting? You say, I should have patience. Now the next question is, how much patience? 1 week? 1 month? 1 year? 10 years? So does that mean, just stick around, without changing anything, and wait for a miracle one day? No. This is where things need to be understood. Whenever you set a goal, right, there should be a time frame attached to it. Right now the problem is, you've made a strategy, but you haven't decided, how long should I test this strategy? And most importantly, how will I know if this strategy is actually working or not? What's the measurement? Until this is clear, you'll keep wandering. From one goal to another. From one path to another. And this is the real distraction. Not changing the work, but leaving it incomplete. Without setting the time. That's where the mess begins. On what basis will you say your strategy is a success or a failure? Let's say you created a strategy, and boom, 10 orders came in. But instead of feeling good, you're getting anxious. Why? Because from the very beginning, you never defined what success actually looks like. Either you randomly assumed, if I do this, I should get 100 orders, so now, your expectations got crushed. That's a planning flaw. Or maybe, you never defined the timeline. You didn't ask, in how much time should I achieve this, so I can call it a success, or a failure? It's not a problem of distraction. It's a problem of planning. How do you actually plan your life? But the moment you sit down to plan, your mind starts to overthink. And the voice kicks in, it's not working, it's not happening. You know what happens to some people? They start planning something, and then, they start overthinking. And because of that, they end up changing the entire plan. But wait, is changing your plan really that bad? Think about it. Do you really believe that all those successful entrepreneurs out there, they made just one plan in their mind, stuck to it like glue, and boom, success? Come on, that's not how life works. Whatever you plan, life never goes exactly that way. Let me ask you something. Have you ever imagined how your married life would be, and then when it actually happened, everything felt different? Maybe you're married. Maybe you're not. But ask anyone who is, it never turns out exactly the way you thought it would. That's just how life is. Same goes for business. Same goes for your job. Same goes for literally everything. We imagine one thing, but life gives us something else. Now, you might be thinking, overthinking is a problem. But let me tell you something, everything that you see here, everything that's man-made, none of it happened without overthinking. Someone, at some point, must have had that constant thought in their head, wondering, can this be done? Can this be possible? And probably, that person didn't know how many sleepless nights they would have, how much frustration, how much work they would put in, and maybe, they even ruined parts of their life, trying to make it happen. Take a moment to think about the device you're watching this video on, your phone, laptop, or desktop. The person who designed that device, do you really think it happened without overthinking? It didn't. It was only possible because someone kept thinking about it, kept refining the idea, and kept pushing forward. So, overthinking isn't bad. Not at all. The first thing we need to understand is that overthinking in itself is not the issue. The real question is, when you're facing a problem, are you open to finding solutions for it? Or, are you just circling around, asking questions, but not willing to accept the answer, even if it's staring right at you? Like, let's say you asked yourself, why do I keep changing my business plan, and it leads to overthinking? But the real issue isn't about changing your plan. The issue might be that you haven't built enough patience, or focus, to stick with something long enough, to see the results. So when you ask yourself this, ask, am I ready to change? Am I ready to find a solution? Because, overthinking alone isn't the problem. It's the lack of belief that you'll eventually get there, despite the changes, that can hold you back. Now, my next question to you is, whatever your strategy is, how do you even know if it's the right one? Because if it's not the right one, then forget 1 week, you won't see results in 1 year, or even in 100 years. So yes, patience is the answer. But, what I'm asking you is, what if I don't even have a clear idea that the plan I'm working on is even the right one? That's the real problem. Yes, exactly. The problem is clarity. We don't really know if what we're doing is even right, if it will lead to results, or not. That's why the mind keeps spinning. That's why we're scared. That's why thoughts keep changing. Should I do this, or that? Should I go for a job, or start a business? Or should I change something in the business, or change the business altogether? Why is all this happening? Because there's no clarity. So the real question should be, how do I build a plan, a strategy, that is truly strong? So here's the thing. The plan you're working on right now, it should have way more chances of success, and very little chances of failure. And you should know this. Not based on some vague feeling. Not because your gut says, yeah, I think this might work. No. What I'm saying is, diagnose the first problem properly. Because what I'm seeing is, the plan itself, the strategy itself, just doesn't seem strong enough. Why? Because you don't have the experience yet. That's all. Now, the same plan that you're trying to create. If I created it, or someone else who's already built that kind of business created it, and told you, do it like this, then even when distractions show up in your mind, you'd know exactly how to handle them. You'd know how long this will take, what it needs, what steps are coming next. And the most important part, you'd trust that person. Because you know, they're not guiding you for their benefit. But if someone says, hey, follow this plan, and you'll start making $15,000, $25,000, $50,000 a month, just pay me $3,000 for this blueprint. Now wait a minute. That means, they're manipulating your plan, for their own profit. That's the problem. But just imagine, maybe there's someone in your family, or your friend circle, or somewhere in your network, someone who's already doing what you want to do. If you approach them, spend time with them, learn from them, it might give you a new perspective. Now, you might be thinking, but nowadays, who really gives genuine advice? And that's a valid thought. Because let's face it, most people don't. Either they give advice that benefits them, or they speak without real knowledge or experience. Like someone telling you, give me $10,000. and I'll turn it into $500,000 for you. Sounds familiar? But here's the truth: if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have experience, and on top of that, if you assume that no one gives the right advice, you've already shut the doors to your own success. Whether you're overthinking it or not, whether you work on that plan for 1 year or 10, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is challenging that deep-rooted belief inside you that no one gives the right guidance anymore. If you're thinking like that, then honestly, you're the one shutting all the doors for yourself. Just think about it: is it really true that there's not a single person in this entire world who gives genuine advice? Don't think that way. Right now, there's someone in front of you, speaking to you from real experience, and if you're looking to start something related to business, I won't say I've made tons of sessions on this topic, because this is actually the first time I'm talking about it here. But yes, if you had heard me before, or if I had already shared videos on this topic, then maybe I would have asked, did it ever feel like I misled you? But since that's not the case, all I'll say now is this: there are countless books out there written by people who've actually built real businesses. There are so many people, in America and beyond, who are already working in the exact field you're planning to start in. And many of their stories are still transforming lives every single day. Let's say, for example, what work are you doing right now? You run an education consultancy, right? That's a service-oriented business. So let's first broaden the frame. Because if I say, only someone from the same education consultancy background can guide you, then that's not practical. Why would they help you? They'll see you as a competitor. But if we say, someone who is successfully running any service-based business, not necessarily in education, but maybe offering some other kind of service, or running a business with integrity and experience, and if that person exists in your family, or within your friend's circle, I'm sure there has to be someone. It's almost impossible that there isn't. Now if you approach that person and say, I really want to do something in this field. Can I sit with you and discuss it? Will they say no? They'll meet you, they'll listen. And when you truly listen to them, some things they say will resonate with you, some things might not, but even just sitting down and having that conversation, that's how clarity starts to emerge.